When the biologist Lewis Thomas was asked what message he thought mankind should take to other civilizations in space, he replied, "I would send the complete works of Johann Sebastian Bach." But that would be boasting.
There is no music of greater emotional depth than this, but it is of the highest order. Music can be intellectually complex and yet completely intriguing and overwhelming emotionally.
If there had been no Bach, there probably would have been no further history of music as we know it. There would not have been Mozart as we know him. There would not have been Beethoven as we know him. There would not have been the Romantic era as we know it. Every period in music has been informed to some extent by the example of Bach.
I can't imagine a world where you wouldn't play Bach. It's just too important.
When Johann Sebastian Bach died in 1750, he was mourned more as an organist and keyboard player than as a composer, and for almost 100 years after his death, his work was known mainly to connoisseurs and professional musicians. Yet today, the resonant power of his work and the depth of his influence is regarded as one of the greatest achievements in the history of music. Bach believed that the aim and final reason of music should be none else but the glory of God and the recreation of the mind. His sacred and secular music is seen as both the culmination of the Baroque era and the beginning of the modern age, perhaps the most performed musical accompaniment to the Christian rites of passage, of birth, marriage and death in Western culture.
Bach is the first great modern composer. He was able to articulate the inner self of modernity, and we are modern people. When we listen to Bach, therefore, we listen, as it were, to a father figure, to somebody who forged our culture at a deeper level than the purely cerebral or the philosophical, and gives to our fragmented lives a gravitas, a high seriousness, a sense of significance that takes us beyond the muddled presence and helps us to touch something timeless and eternal that is yet also deeply Western.
The youngest of 8 children, Bach was born in Eisenach in the central German region of Thuringia in 1685. At the time, Thuringia was a loose assembly of small states, dukedoms, principalities and free cities. Almost every local ruler boasted his own band of court musicians, and each city had its own official music makers. Italian, French, German, Polish and English musical styles could be heard from Dresden to Erfurt, and Bach himself came from an extremely musical family, perhaps the greatest family of German musicians of the 17th and 18th centuries.
There is this great sense that the whole family played and composed for each other. This is a very early piece, Capriccio on the Departure of a Beloved Brother, which was written when one of Bach's brothers, we think, may have gone to fight in the army in Sweden. And it's a very simple, rather delectable piece with the call of the post horn in it. And you can tell it's a very, very simple early harmonic style.
Bach's father, Johann Ambrosius, was both a trumpeter and violinist, employed by the town council and the ducal court of Eisenach, while his uncles and brothers worked as keyboard players, organists and chamber musicians throughout Thuringia and neighbouring Saxony. There were musical gatherings and galas in both the family home and at the town church of St. George, giving Bach a formidable musical education.
This is one of the few pieces going back to Bach's lifetime that we can touch today. It is the place where Bach was baptized 2 days after his birth on the 23rd of March in 1685. His parents, Elisabeth and Ambrosius Bach, stood around this font, and also his godparents, Sebastian Nagel, who gave Sebastian Bach his name, held him over this font. This place also reminds us of his Lutheran faith and also the tradition of Lutheran church music, because music became a very essential element of Christian worship service in the Lutheran tradition.